even if I know Alex is lying, I'm not going to call him out. Because first of all, like that might be his truth. He might really feel that way. It might not be true, but he might perceive that as what really happened. Or yeah, cuz this is really just a time to like let those emotions out and let both students feel heard in a safe environment. And a lot of times, students really do want to work these situations out. It's just they don't know how. Like we're taught how to do math, we're taught how to read, but we're really not taught how to solve behavioral conflicts. When we have a conflict with another, how do we solve those? And that's really our job as a teacher, is to teach them how to. So I start with something positive, then we go into what caused the fight. I like to look for any inconsistencies and just point them out, but in a real positive, loving way. So Alex might say that, well, Johnny, I didn't like it when you laughed at me. But as a teacher, I would have noticed that, like, hey, like everyone was laughing at that moment. Like maybe Alex made a joke and Johnny was laughing, but the whole class was laughing. Well, I would point out to Alex that yes, Johnny was laughing, but remember, we all were laughing and we were laughing with you, not at you. It seemed like you wanted to make people laugh. So I would really point out those inconsistencies, and really kind of find those incongruences and make them see the truth. And together, like I'd have the students find a solution. So a lot of times, if you ask them, like, so, like, what do you guys want to do? And then one of them might say, well, when I'm mad, can you give me my space because I need space? And then the other one would agree to that. So the key is to really let the students find their own solution. Because if I force a solution on them, if I tell them, oh, well, I'm just going to punish both of you, that's not going to do any good. Like, they have to really find the solution. But what I will do is, for consequences, I would like to have the kids actually come up with the consequence. So I'd be like, okay, if you fight again, like, what should happen? Because we've already made this agreement. We already said, you're going to give them space. But if you fight again, like, what should take place? What should we do? And a lot of times they'll say, like, oh, we'll take my recess or call my mom. And that's when I'm really going to hold them accountable. So if the fight was to happen again, then I would have to do that consequence. And it's more powerful because they're the ones that made it. And also for parents, after a fight, they get really scared. They don't want their kid to have a fight again. So you could actually tell them, hey, this is a solution they came up with. We did a restorative practice together. So that way everybody's sort of in the loop. And even letting admin know is super useful so that admin knows what to do, because admin doesn't always know what consequences to give. I mean, they're still human. Like they're not 100% sure always what to do. And then telling them, hey, well, we agreed on having the mom called or the dad called, that can help them deciding what to do. And it might be a buffer too from them getting automatic like OSS. Like, hey, we have a plan of action. Let's do this first. Then if it happens, then we can do out of school suspension, because the goal is really to keep the kids in school. So from a teacher's perspective of a fight, that's what I would do. And after that, I'd actually go ahead and do a class lesson over conflict resolution. I actually teach it to my class. Go over strong emotions and that it's okay to have these strong emotions, but what can we do when experiencing them? There's also something called there's social skill stories. So you can just look them up and you can pretty much just read the social skills story if you're not really comfortable on, how to lead the lesson. Is you could just read them a story and go from there. So as a teacher, that's really what I would do. In terms of being a parent, so if my kid got into a fight at school, it's definitely difficult because as a teacher, yes, you have a connection to them, but as a parent, I mean, you have an even bigger connection, that huge emotional connection. So the first thing I would do is make sure I'm calm, I'm non-judgmental. And then I would really first like make sure my child's okay and my child's calm. I'd really want to confirm, like, did they take him to the nurse? Because that's super important that he got checked out or she got checked out. So first, I'd make sure they're physically okay. I would probably just give them some food, let them eat, give them some time just to calm down. As a teacher, we have like a calm down corner where kids, it's not a punishment. It's just a place where they go to just regulate and calm down. So I'd probably just tell them you're safe right now. Like everything's gonna be okay. And then we're gonna talk in about 5 minutes. So I give them about 5 minutes just to decompress. And then I would go ahead and talk to them about the situation. The key is to really figure out why. Like, why did the fight happen? A lot of times the fight isn't really even about the fight. They might not have even been mad at the student. They could have been having a really bad day, and that other student was just what triggered them. So really finding out why. And then again, I would definitely do some consequence as a parent. I really like the consequence to sort of match the level of like severity. So if they said like a bad word in class, I don't think the consequence would be this severe. Because there was a fight where there actually was like, physical harm inflicted on another student, I would really do a bigger consequence compared to something more minor. So, and I would also determine like why, as in maybe it could be self-defense. Even if it is self-defense though, I still feel like there should be some consequence, just because the child needs to understand that there were other ways to address the situation. And then I would like to kind of build into the consequence, like a way to find the solution. So I think what I would probably do is sit the child down and go ahead and just like read that social skills story with them, find one over fighting, and kind of just like go over why we shouldn't fight, go over ways to ways to kind of control strong emotions if it was because they were experiencing strong emotions, and really kind of address with them the underlying problem. Was it they were experiencing anxiety? Are they experiencing depression? Were they being bullied by the student? Is it bullying? And then I would do a consequence based on that. I mean, it could be, they don't get to go on a camping trip that you had for them, or they don't get to do some events. It's really parent discretion. But yeah, I would definitely find a consequence after finding the why. And then after finding the why, there are things that you should follow up and do with the school, because that why is super important. If the student feels like they're being bullied, then the school really has to do a bully report and a bully investigation. So if you feel like your student's being bullied, I would 100% use the word bullying and let administration know that, hey, my child's being bullied. If from there, I would also talk to the teacher, and I would ask the teacher, like, did we do a restorative practice, or what restorative practices are we going to do? Because again, like, punishing both kids is not really going to solve anything. We really have to find the underlying reason why and have them work it out. So I really push the teacher to do some form of a restorative practice, because I know a lot of parents, when it happened to me, would be like, what are you going to do for the other kid? How are you going to punish the other kid? But I mean, a lot of times I can't tell the parents, and also like that kind of shows me that the parent's just out for punishing, not for really finding solutions. So I would really, for the teacher, push for restorative practices. And then for your child in particular, I would, just make sure they feel safe. And then honestly, after school for the next probably week or two, I would give them more time to talk with you. When they come home,